guess if you wanted.
I guess.
Guess would be, say, 1,000 over there, 5,000 maybe.
5,000, that's quite a lot.
Between 5 and 10,000, yeah, but it's not one book, it's not the same book.
Yeah, but
It's
still.
about 7 different books. Maybe 10,000 if I'm going to be optimistic.
And did you get the money from those books?
Did I get the money? No. Did I get some money? Yeah.
Yeah.
Some small percentage.
Okay.
You have like an erection in your shirt.
Here is the pants. Here is the main part. This is my alien penis.
Or an alien head even.
Yeah. Yeah, it's actually, this could be a performance for the school.
Well, I read a quote today, it's from my wife. Who's always coming out with good quotes. It's Marshall McLuhan, you probably heard of him. He's super famous, even though most people don't know who he was, but he was a sort of social commentator. He's the guy who said the medium is the message.
Mm-hmm.
Which you must have heard of that at some point. You couldn't have not. Of course, you are in Finland, so maybe they say it differently in Finland. But anyway, I was talking today about how the medium is the message, and it is a very important idea, I think, for every artist to explore. But that wasn't the quote. The quote was, art is whatever you can get away with.
Mm-hmm.
And I would say that as artists, so pretentious, I can't believe I'm going to actually start using that word for myself, but I probably am, whatever. But as artists, we are all far too timid. We're just timid, like as human beings too, horrendously crippled by inhibition. But just specifically as artists, if you're going to be an artist, then the whole point really is to express the unexpressible, to express the things that nobody else dares to express, and that you are also afraid that you'll be judged and condemned, rejected and exiled for expressing. Because if you're an artist, you've got this get out of jail free cards. No, it's just art.
Yeah.
Don't hang me. Don't commit me. I'm performing slightly there, but it's true. I mean, I think there's some truth in that I've just been really timid, and I've wanted to make a good impression, and an artist can't give a shit about that. It's really, really essential that an artist is somebody who's going to pretend to create, pretend as in the sense of aspire to create, that they don't care what people think. Absolutely do not care what people think. So there's a bit of a conflict there, because an artist also, or somebody who's expressing creatively, is probably also hoping to get a response from the audience, and of course you're not going to hope for a negative one, you're going to hope for a positive response. So then you're caring what people think. So then that's why they say, oh no, artists always say, oh, I just do it for myself. Even though it's not true 9 times out of 10, but people, artists kind of understand that fundamentally, if they're going to be authentic, they have to do it for themselves. Even if they can't, they have to at least say that that's what they're doing it for. So I'm hoping, aspiring to get back to that, like actually just doing it for myself. Doing what I would like, not what I'd like to see, that's what Spielberg says about his stupid movies, but it's not like I want to sit there watching it and go, oh, it's so great, but I mean, just to see if I can do it, like if I can actually make it something that's really raw and that does represent my inner experience, my inner perception, and actually in a way that's if not coherent, that's actually entertaining, accessible to others. That, I think, is really, I think that's really basic stuff. Like a child is learning to connect to and communicate with this world. That's what children are doing when they learn to express. So I think it's probably the same energy that an artist, or being artistic, you know, autistic, artistic. Right? Words, images, sounds, concepts, beliefs, feelings, sensations, impressions, visions, dreams, to let that spill out onto the canvas of your medium so that you can see what's inside. And then once it's spilled out, then you can move it around and arrange it in such a way that then you can even present it to the world and say, hey, look what I've got inside me. So it is a bit like taking a big shit and then putting a frame on it and saying, isn't it awesome? Or which, you know, I suppose, I mean, people, you know, repeat myself because I said this once before, but people, I hate repeating myself, people talk about the miracle of birth, but they never talk about the miracle of taking a shit. And, you know, I know it's a bit cliche and obvious, but it's true. I mean, why is giving birth more miraculous than taking a shit, right? Just because a baby's cuter than a turd. Anyway, I'm being a bit glib, but that's what happens when, you know, point a camera and I think that somebody might see this someday, I've got to be clever. But that wasn't at all original, I'm going to strike that from the record. Yeah, next question, or none at all. So do you think that if I sort of perfected the style of the, you know, presentation, do you think that I could do video logs, you know, of myself that would appeal to 16-year-olds?
To 16-year-olds?
Not that I'm trying to, you know, get a fan base built of 16-year-olds, but that I see them as sort of the acid test or something. Like if I can do it in such a way that it's going to reach 16-year-olds, then I've really kind of made it truly accessible. Not that I'll be able to reach 70-year-olds probably, but they'll be dead soon anyway. So
I think it would require some heavy
editing, makeup.
Yeah, some. It could be possible. Could be interesting actually to try to make it come true and somehow see if it works.
So, because I mean, like, I think I have ideas anyway that I'm looking to try in terms of the style, the form, the medium. So like fast editing and different images and you know, words on the screen, and so to make it more of a visceral experience, more expressionist. But then I myself, the product, or no, I'm not a product, I'm not selling my organs on the internet, but like I said to you, I'm the medium, as well as the video itself. Like this body actually is the transmitter, the receiver transmitter. So I myself as a being would have to appeal to 16-year-olds, like the way that I communicate.
Yeah, I think you would have to be silly.
Sillier.
Yeah, some silly guy who is.
But 16-year-olds aren't that silly, you know that. They're really fucked up. They're doing drugs, they're, you know, killing themselves.
Well, I think their entertainment is quite silly. Or they like watch stuff which is really... it doesn't have like a structure or
Right.
sense in a way.
Okay, but that I can do that. I can do because you just edit it. You just cut in the middle of a sentence and then start the next sentence.
Yeah.
So the wisdom's there. I'm being presumptuous there that I have some wisdom, but it's hidden, because the form has been mutated in such a way that 16-year-olds can go, oh yeah, man, it's really cool, and whereas older people can go, oh, actually, he's really doing something here. I think it's kind of avant-garde. Or it's like what the Surrealists did in the 1920s or whatever. That would be, because now I'm talking about my audience and all the rest of it, but I suppose because I have a 16-year-old in me is the thing, and I actually want to appeal to, I want to do something that I would be able to enjoy at that level in myself.
Yeah, I think it's possible. Yeah.
It's really hard, to gauge how interesting one is, because one finds oneself endlessly fascinating, right? Like if you write a diary, you just think it's the most interesting stuff, and you just talk about, like, I peeled potatoes and then I washed the plates, and it's so fascinating, and my life is it's just so fascinating. But of course it's not to other people. So I think that's one of the things, obstacles I need to overcome is self-fascination. Vanity. One of them. One of many.
Yeah, bright colors and
bright colours,
yeah, and strobo lights.
Well, no, I don't want to use props. Bright colours is okay, because that can just be natural.
Okay.
The right clothes, the right background, scenery. But I don't want to actually cater. You know the expression cater? If you cater to your audience, it means you actually sort of spoon feed them. You give them exactly what they think they want, rather than giving them what you want them to want in such a way that they'll think that they want it. That was a bit garbled.
Yeah.
But what I mean is that, like you said, 16-year-olds and generally people in general have pretty low standards of entertainment. So the trick is actually to give them something that's a much higher standard, but without them choking on it, without them coughing it back up, saying no, it's just too weird, too deep, too hard, too challenging.
I'm just focusing on the camera.
Well, camera moves is also part of that. It's important, and that means that you need somebody to actually film you. You can't just sit in front of the camera. Because dramatic camera moves definitely adds something to the experience. Humour, I think, is the main thing, and that's definitely an area I need to work on a lot more. Without just learning jokes, It's like unleashing a part of myself that is more anarchic and more Jim Carrey-esque. I do have that side. It's just that people don't get to see it since I stopped taking drugs, essentially. Because that was how I unleashed it.
But do you still have it without drugs?
Well, that's what I'm saying. It's still there, but
you don't express it.
If you get to know me well, I'll relax and I'll be goofy.
Yeah.
But my sort of comfort zone is to be serious and intelligent. I can really talk in very convincing ways and make you think that I really know what I'm talking about.
Yes.
Yuka doesn't like it. He leaves the room as soon as I get like that. It's one of the reasons I respect Yuka.
Okay.
So, but identity, identity hell is what every 16-year-old and every human being is trapped inside of, that identity hell. And so, but, it's not enough just to tell them that and tell them that there are ways to get out of it, I don't think. It's not enough, because Dave doesn't just tell people, he's also showing them in his way. Yeah, they need to be shown. They actually need to be shown it's okay to actually step outside of the confines of your prison identity, self-illusion, and be unpredictable, and be totally exposed. I think, that's what some people are using the internet for. There's all this self-expression on the internet, but it's not art. This isn't reaching the level of art, including my own stuff, because it's self-indulgent, kind of masturbatory, just people expressing their angst or their opinions. Yeah, but anyway, that's what I have to say for now. I hope it's been entertaining for you.
Yeah, it's fun. It's interesting.
So, but anyway, you probably noticed, because I certainly did, that brought out a different side of me. Like I was performing much more.
Yeah.
So, it might not have been more authentic, because performance, but it was, in a way it was, because it was, it was more free-form, more spontaneous. So in that sense.
Yeah, that's interesting.
And my theory is, to go back to the intellectual me, is that I love theories. I have sex with theories every night. It suddenly popped into my head for some reason. But because the camera is like, it doesn't have an ego. The camera is just pure perception. So it doesn't filter what it sees. So then we can also, potentially we can relate to it that way. Like we don't have to worry what the camera thinks of us. It's not judging us. So now I'm talking to the camera, I'm not talking to you, then that frees me up. Like I'm relating to the technology, and it's free of filters, it's just pure mediation or transmission. Transmission! I nailed it, see? Funny. So I was suggesting to Dave today, and he thought it was a decent idea, that we could do a video called What is Transmission? And what we'd do is we'd interview everyone who's been exposed to the transmission via Oshana, and get them to describe what transmission is. They can take, they can take a while if they want. We'll keep filming them, but they will be told that we're only going to use one line, whatever. So we're going to just pick one line out of everything you say, and then the film would just be a series of.
Oh, that's nice.
Simple, straightforward.
Was it your idea?
Yeah, I had that idea yesterday. Because I know what the transmission is, suddenly, like, for now. Like words were formed that now, if someone asked me what transmission is, I think I could describe what it is to me, now. I feel like I shouldn't have said that, because it's probably hubris, which is an Greek word for defying the gods. But anyway, that was what gave me the idea anyway. I was thinking that the transmission is like, like in this physical reality we have a radio signal, and it's totally invisible and it's non-physical. We think it's not. I mean, it's a different level of physical anyway. It's invisible, it's intangible, and yet we can see the results of the radio signal. We can actually experience the reality of it when we hear the broadcast. We can't actually see the signal. Huh?
Mm.
So then the transmission is like that, only on a level above the invisible world. Like the transmission comes not from the invisible world, the transmission comes from beyond that. So it's this pure signal that doesn't have any apparent existence, even in the energy world, even in the world of souls. Never mind in the physical world. But we can actually perceive it in some way. See, it's new to me, so I can't quite put it into words. But right. Just that idea that we could think, well, a radio wave doesn't exist. Where is it? And yet somehow it does enter into the physical world and it affects it. So the transmission is like that.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah, but see, I told you I shouldn't have said it because actually that doesn't really describe it. But that could be what the film demonstrated in a sense, is that everybody tried to describe the transmission and everybody fails.
Mm-hmm. Yeah, that might happen.
Well, and they'd all have different. Everyone would have a different take on it, but there'd be certain things that were similar. I mean, even when Dave talks about transmission, he's contradicted himself.
Mm.
But I didn't say anything because I didn't want to be that annoying guy in the audience who says, "Wait, but you just said." Anyway, unless you're going to keep cueing me, then I should probably stop pointing the camera because we're going to start winding down, becoming less and less animated.
Dissolving into the floor.
Yeah.
Okay, how do I stop this?
You press the red button